Hey YouTube, I decided I'm going to do a video of all my basses, like a bass collection video. I was going to do it in one, but I think I'm just going to chop it up into two or maybe three. So this is the first 10, I think. You've probably seen a lot of these before, if you've watched my videos. Some of them have got videos, some of them don't have videos. So if I start off, my first ever bass was a Westtone Spectrum DX, which I maybe only had it for a few months. I had it in my first band. I think I'd actually only owned the bass for about 2 days. The first time I ever went in the studio with a band, first time I ever played one, and I give it a hard time, that Westtone Spectrum, because I hated it. I really did. Just because, I was like 17 or 18 or whatever it was, and wanted to play Stone songs and stuff, and a Westtone was a very, very 80s looking bass, and I never changed the strings on it, and the guy who had it before me, who I bought it off, never changed the strings on it, and the guy I sold it to never changed the strings on it, and I'd imagine it probably, then the neck would have, it needed adjusted. So I got rid of that, and I bought this, which is my Aria ZZB Deluxe, which you've maybe again seen the video of this. I sold it, I traded it in against an Epiphone EBO when I joined a band that were playing Stones and Beatles songs, when this didn't seem to be the right thing, in about 1999 or 1998, something like that. I sold it, and I got it back 20 years later, the exact same one, which still has the same dents on it, which I remember putting on when one night I was hitting it with a drumstick to get a crazy sound. I didn't realise I'd actually chipped the front, and it's all dented, and I recognised half the dents, so it was exactly the same one. So it was joyous getting this back. The one guitar that I was always upset about selling. Ever since then, I've always been very careful about what I sold, not selling things that I could never replace. And I spent maybe not 20 years, but 10 years looking for another one, and I never found one that had another one had a maple neck, which is what I remember. So this is a 1982, I think, 1983 ZZB Deluxe. It's a 32-inch scale bass, Explorer bass. One of the pickups doesn't work. It didn't work when I had it 20 years ago. I just didn't realise that at the time. It's got the wrong knobs on it, which I had the same wrong knobs on it from 20 years ago, and also it's got call it a poker chip, rhythm treble switch, which it originally had when I first had it as well, which isn't original either. So bass number one. I'm not doing these in any order, but I'm just kind of doing it just because this is the earliest one I had. I might actually even weigh some of these, but it's a good weight, so I'm not going to bother. So I'm just going to work through these in order. So it's 3 minutes for the first one, right? Okay, that included the intro. Yeah, so just up on Christmas Day, actually, or Boxing Day, I saw this. This is a Vox White Shadow Japanese guitar bass, I think from about 1984. I just recently bought this Beatles Help strap, which I just liked, and it was cheap, and so I had to put that on. I thought, well, this is a Vox, so Vox Beatles, that was my thinking. This is a nice bass. It's kind of odd the way it's sort of not this it's sort of reverse jazz bass shaped at the bottom here, but I love the spikiness of it. Also, it's got it's really weird the way the pickup is quite close to the bridge. I would have expected it to be up here, which it's not. I think this is a Tushin build bass. It kind of looks like some other Tushin guitars I've got. Japan. It's got cool, massive blocks as the bridge. It was interesting, and it's also got this switch, which I figured I've seen it before. Basses from this era having switches on them, and normally it knocks these from parallel, which is the way they're normally wired, to series, which gives you a sort of, it's kind of like a coil split type sound, so it gives you a sort of single coil type sound, but this isn't. This is a phase, so you've got normal bucker and then sort of a really strange twanky, kind of not really any use trebly bass sound. My only real issue with this is it's matte, which I don't like. I wish it was shiny. It's kind of very coffee table looking. It kind of looks like a veneer, but it's not. It's a solid piece of wood. It's the same. It's the same in the back. You can see it all the way through. Actually, maybe it is a veneer on top. Because if you look at it there, I'm pretty sure I can see a join there. Joins in it, which I don't see on the top. So yeah, but it's solid anyway. So I'm not really sure what this is. So an interesting bass. I should say there's a video of this when I got it. I might have to do another one though, because I think it was before I got the good bass amp. I did have a decent bass amp before, but it wasn't a good bass amp. Basically, there was something rattly about it. Yeah, so Vox White Shadow. Yeah, these are. I'm just going through my most newest ones. I do the ones that are hanging on the wall, and then obviously I'm classing this as a bass. This is my Super Star Destroyer, which is a Washburn Access bass. The bass part, the bridge, the pickups, and the neck and the tuners. I obviously made the body. Again, really good. I'm going to end up saying quite a lot of these are really good because that's why I kept them. I wouldn't have kept them if they weren't really good. Not that all the ones I sell are rubbish, but I mean, I've got a thing about basses. A lot of basses look rubbish, like they're ugly, and out of all the shapes, there's lots of guitar shapes I like, but there's not that many bass shapes, which is actually, when I look at how many basses I've got, it's actually quite a lot I do like. But I mean, I really don't like your sort of melted looking ones. This one maybe has elements of what I don't like, but it's also obviously it's an Ibanez Destroyer that I drew around to make this. So there's a video of this one as well. This is if you look up Super Star Destroyer, you'll see it. I did one when I was up here, so it was relatively recent. Out of interest, said I was going to weigh some, and I'll weigh this just because I might as well. Am I going to hang the whole thing on a tuner? Am I going to hang it on a strap? I'll try and hang it on the strap. Someone complained that it was taking too long to weigh these things, but there we go. So it's not going to take too long. There we go. So this comes in at 6.2 kilograms, which is quite heavy, but not that heavy considering it's a guitar and a bass stuck together and it's made out of kitchen worktop. Working my way around, was a Fender Bronco bass. It's now a Buckfaster bass. So this has been done up like a Fender 6. Wouldn't guarantee it's in tune, it's been sitting for a while. Yeah, so I put a Telecaster bridge on it, added a Telecaster neck pickup, and a 5-way switch, which are not standard. Apart from that, it's pretty much a Bronco bass. Well, obviously, apart from it's got six tuners on it instead of just the 4 for the bass. Bronco basses are good wee basses. I would have one if I didn't have a couple of basses, which I'm going to show you in a minute, that kind of negate it. So I suppose I'll do that one since it's on the wall. I've just this is my most recent bass. This is my Geezer Butler Epiphone EBO. As I said earlier, my third bass after I traded the Aria that I started with. I traded it in for the first EBO in Scotland, possibly the UK. The serial number that I can still remember was 98 0000008. So it was like the 8th one made. I remember when I heard they were coming out, the guy in Merchant City told me they were coming out, and I sort of pre-ordered it and went in the day they came in, because I love my SG guitar, my Epiphone SG, and I always wanted an SG bass, or an EBO. And at the time in '98, there was no option to buy one because Gibson didn't make them and hadn't made them since the 70s. So I suppose you still see them now. You see the occasional Japanese copy from the 70s. So this one, I painted stripy. This is meant to look like the bass that Geezer Butler plays in the Top of the Pops performance of Never Say Die. I still might added another pickup because the Epiphone EBOs don't sound great, and I have to say they do have a bit of a shitness to them. But because I've got this, I've got a 4-way rotary which connects up. It gives you this pickup on its own, this pickup on its own, both the pickups on and both the pickups on in series, so you get like a mega bucker type sound, and that's the sound I use when I'm playing with the Sabbath band. I also put cross inlays on the fretboard because why not? The reason I did that was, I don't think I've actually done a video of this since I did that. The reason for that was because it was a secret, but it's out now, that we played, the singer Brian had a great idea, why don't we come on like dressed as monks, it's like a stage gear. So we did that, and when I was wearing the hood, it made it difficult to play, so I put big massive glow in the dark white dots so that when I'm wearing the hood, I can see through the hood to see where I am playing the bass. And then I taped off the neck and cut out the bits to paint these bits on. I thought, while I'm at it, I might as well put the crosses in the fingerboard. So there we go. I'm still Geezer Butler's one looks very similar to this. His is a bit yellower. This one actually glows in the dark as well. But his has got another wee bit of scratch plate here, which I've not yet made, but I might do at some point if I can get bored. I can maybe just like a wee sort of. His is a John Birch, I think. I also reshaped the head a little bit. This is just an Epiphone. Put a Papaya baby metal sticker on it because I felt it needed some colour. And when I was at Baby Metal at the Barras just before all this happened, which I'm not talking about, this is only good news. It's a good news video. I'm getting really pissed off at what's on Facebook. It's so depressing. So this is just good. I'm not going to mention it again. Yeah, so when I was at Baby Metal, some guy gave me a Papaya sticker. And I thought, that's perfect for my bass. As soon as I saw it, I was like, that's going in the headstock of the bass. It just needs a bit of colour and a bit of something. And there we go. So, Epiphone EBO. Oh, I'll just work my way around the room just now. What are we at now? 4 or 5 or something. Just going in order. This is my Squier Mikey Way Mustang bass. This was a limited edition 2013. It's got the Mikey Way, who is the bass player in My Chemical Romance. So this is one of the reasons I haven't actually bothered keeping any of the Bronco basses you've seen me do videos of, even though I really do like the Bronco basses, because this is sort of pretty much the same thing. It's a wee bit better. It's got a humbucker in it. It's got a fancier bridge, even though it's pretty much the same sort of thing. Really the only difference between this and the Bronco, looks wise, is it's got a metal sort of jazz bassy bit here, which makes it a Mustang, not a Bronco. It's also got a competition stripe, and it's also sparkly matte big flake sparkle, which I really like. Wee bit disappointed the competition stripe doesn't go all the way around, it's only on the front, but that's so these are actually getting quite rare now. You don't see them. They weren't expensive new. I remember trying one out when they first came out, and I was always going to buy one, and they just disappeared, and I can never find one. Me and my pal made me go and see My Chemical Romance. We got an MCR strap on it as well. Made me go and see MCR. They were playing in Edinburgh just after their second, what was the third album, whatever, the one, the Danger Days album. And he made me go, come on anyway. So I drove. I think I maybe didn't buy a ticket. That was part of the deal. Was, you know, he'd buy me the ticket and I would drive back so he could drink. And out they came, and Mikey Way came out with this bass for the first time. And the first thing the singer said was like, "What do you think of Mikey's new bass?" And me and my pal G were like, "That'd be awesome. He's got a Music Master bass." Well, it's a Mustang bass, so it's got a wee bit of sentimental value. This is, and about 2 years ago, maybe, Graham G he's got a daughter now, and he was selling off some of his bass collection. He asked me to sell it, and when he gave me this to sell, it was like, I can't sell that, so I sold it to me. Yeah, so this, I'll break the order. Well, no, I won't break the order. This is a relatively recent one as well, which I've just not put up for sale yet. It was going to be an Iron Brew or a Buckfast bass, but it's really good, and it's really surprisingly good. I got it with a few tuners missing and needed some work, but it's a vintage Music Man bass, and it's really good. I was never a fan of the Music Man bass, just looks wise, because it kind of looks like a B bass, is what's the point, but it plays really well. And I have to apologise to my pal Alan, who was round. He gave me some parts. I was looking for, was it tuners or something like that, and he came over and dropped them off, and he was raving about the basses, what the best basses are. He's a mad bass geek, the same as me. And he was saying, "Oh, have you ever tried to have a vintage Music Man?" And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, "Oh, they're really good. If you get the older ones are fantastic." And it's like, "Oh, it's just as good as it's better than the Sterling one," or whatever it was he was saying. And it's like, I don't really know any of these things. And then the following day, this appeared on Gumtree. And I was like, right, bang, buy it, because it had such a glowing review. And then obviously that night I got a text message going, "You fucking bought that, didn't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, yes I did." So this is a good quality bass. I really like this. I can't really decide. I don't really have any use for it though, unfortunately, because I've got an awful lot of basses. Interestingly, this one has 2 tone controls, which is really nice. It's got this big massive humbucker, and the 2 tone controls, one of them is a sort of a standard tone control, and one of them is a sort of a different, obviously a different value of cap. So you can kind of get quite good. It cuts some of the mids out as opposed, or cuts the some of the mids out rather than just cutting the trebles out. So you get some amazing amount of tones out of having 2 tone controls and 1 pickup. I'm really impressed with that. I might be copying that in the future. So a really nice bass, which I probably should sell, but I haven't really decided whether I should or not. One of the tuners is odd. It's got a Wilkinson tuner. This one is wrong. It's a wee bit bigger and stuff, but you don't notice it because it's on the other side. It would be more noticeable if it had 4 in a line. Yeah, so that's an interesting one. I'm quite pleased with what I did. Was I decided to break this into a few lots, because I'm already 16 minutes in, and I've not even got through the ones that I've looked at so far. Next, obviously I'm not actually playing any of these. If anyone wants any videos of these, some of them have got videos. In fact, all the ones I've got done so far, I think I've had videos, like relatively recent ones. This is a Steinberger. Well, it's a Honor B2A, licensed by Steinberger bass. It's headless and bodiless. It's my favourite feature is this lever, which if you could buy this lever on its own, I would put it on any Flying V, because it means you could play sitting down. These are actually worth quite a lot of money, which I wasn't really. I kind of knew they were too expensive for me to ever have one. I mean, it's absolutely hideous. I mean, really, I remember me and my pal used to sit and laugh at. There was a Colombian volcano concert disaster, and it had Dave Gilmour did a couple of an amazing version of Run Like Hell with his like solo band. It must have been after the final cut, before Momentary Lapse of Reason time. And the bass player had one of these, and he was like just like bum dum, and it sounded fantastic. It just looked so wrong. I mean, I suppose I would look at it as a sort of travel bass. So I would never have one of these because they were far too expensive to buy, for the sort of novelty value of it. And one time I bought a guitar, like a cheap Strat, off a guy not far away, just a couple of miles down the road in Waterside, who said, I bought a Strat, and the answer that the road's up here, there's your Strat. I've got something to show you. I was like, right, so this house, you're going to make that into a Buckfast guitar? And it was like, alright, you know who I am then. Because I'm famously the Buckfaster caster master. Is that what? Look at this. And he produced this, and I was just like, that. Wow, that's amazing. And he's like, well, is it the sort of thing you would be interested in? I was like, look, I can't afford it. I mean, these things are expensive. And basically, it wasn't expensive, so I bought it. I think his thinking was that if he gave it to me, he knows I would have made it work. Because he found it, someone had thrown it. He lived in London like 10 years ago, and his next door neighbour had found it in the garden one morning. Like someone had thrown it over the back wall, and he'd had it for 10 years, and the saddles were missing off the bridge. So and it had no strings and all that, and it was So he figured that I think if he sold it to me, it would live again. Whereas if you just sell it on eBay, you're just going to get scalpers and stuff. Are going to sell individual parts, things. It's got EMG Select pickups and an active boost system. It's also got an XLR out on it. It's quite interesting. I seem to remember dating this to, well, the serial number starts 87, so I think 1987. I'm not sure whether it's through neck. I'm thinking it might actually be one piece of wood, like the body and the neck might be the one piece of wood. I don't know though. I've not really done enough research on it. The frets were pretty bad. I've redone the frets, and as I said, the saddles were missing. So I looked up buying the official Steinberger saddles, and I think they were £15 each, which would have cost me £60 just for the saddles. And I was thinking, this is quite a lot of money, considering I'm not even sure whether the bass is actually going to work. So what I did was I just bought a headless bass system from China. I think it was about 30 quid for the bridge, and so I got that in. I had to cut angle grind the saddles a wee bit to get them to fit. So it does. So I kept the actually official Steinberger bridge. It's just the saddles are fake. But the glorious thing that happened there was these originally you need double ball end strings to wire them up. and the bridge I got came with this thing, which is like a new end piece, which I just you just stick on the end, and it means because it's got like a clamp on it, it means you can just use normal strings. So that saved me a hell of a lot of money doing that, and so I plugged it, I sorted it out, and it was had it strung up, and it was playing, and the active this switch was burst on the active system, and because this had been lying for 10 years, and this guy's next door neighbour had found it in the garden, what were the chances of the active system working? And it's like, well, all I did was replace the switch with another switch that wasn't broken. The wee red light came on, and it works. It's like, hey, yeah. I might have to do a wee video of this, because I don't think I've done one since I got the good bass amp, and since I actually got it working properly, since I sorted out the frets, which were a bit goosed. The other thing is that when you get a guitar that the frets are really worn down on it, it means that somebody's played it a lot, which probably means it was a good one. Was my thinking as well. Last thing I want to say about this is, as I said, I bought the bridge and the tailpiece for like 30 quid, and just to get the saddles, because it was half the price of, I figured a metal saddle, so metal saddles don't really matter whether it's a real one or not. And then a few weeks later, on the Facebook buy and sell page, somebody was just saying, does anyone have one of the mini tuners for a Steinberger before I go and buy the whole bridge thing from eBay, just to get one of these tuner parts? I was like, yeah, I've got one of them. So basically I sold that and got half my money back for just selling the rest of the bridge with the mini tuners on it. Yeah, so this worked out really well. I took this down to download and was playing it. Like it sounds like I'm talking about playing on stage at download, not on stage. Played it in the tent at download. Which is, I suppose, I think about it's a bit crazy, because if these things are worth quite a lot of money, I really shouldn't have done that. But my pal found out he had diabetes. Wayne, how's it going? Found out he had diabetes a few years ago, and he was quite upset about it. And he works as the bin man for some of the people for the area. He lives like 5 miles away from Download, a place called Colville. And I was up here. Oh, is that when you get like disabled badges? And he was up here. Oh, so it was a lessening of the impact of having diabetes was the fact that you could get a disabled badge. So we're in the disabled campsite, which is I've never actually been to the real campsite in Download, but I've seen it from a distance, and it's not the same thing. We're talking about absolute luxury in the disabled campsite, where you get some room. You've got grass round about your tent, and right on the racetrack as well, Donington racetrack. And actually, just adding even more. This video is going to be 40 minutes long. Might be my longest video ever. I've been playing a game on. I bought a Nintendo DS, which I mentioned the other day, and I bought a game called Grid, which has it's like a Formula 1 racing. It's not Formula 1, but it's like a racing game, and it's got real tracks on it. And one of them is downloads, and there's the corner where we camped at the festival, like on the corner of the track, is in the track, and it's like a pure bastard of a corner. So I keep driving over it, and every time I'm driving round past it, it's up here. That's where we used to camp every time. I can't get away with it. Yeah, so Steinberger bass, or Honor Professional B2A, licensed by Steinberger bass. I'm interested in maybe getting a guitar version to go with this, but they're very expensive, and it really is. I mean, it possibly is the ugliest bass that's ever been made, or I don't know. I need to get a case for it. If anyone is local and has a case that this would fit in, I'm thinking not a guitar case or a bass case, like a case for, I don't know, like a shotgun or a fishing rod or something. Because obviously when it fits in a guitar case, but it's kind of defeats the purpose of it being like this. So I kind of want a case that's sort of suitable, that you can't really be used for anything else. Right, as we almost do the ones that are in this room. Done. Right, so I've done the Mustang bass. This is a 1970, how did this work? S8. It's S for 70s and 8 for 78, I believe. So this is a Fender Music Master bass, which I found a little bit more history about recently. My pal, the same guy who I bought the Mustang bass off, I bought this off him 20 years ago. He bought it in Victor Morris for not an awful lot of money, a couple £100. And just because it's really cool, it wasn't playing very well, it was playing really badly. It's now fine. But this I actually found out a little bit more history of it, because I was talking to my pal David about a music master. Oh, I was saying that, you know, I'd bought this in Victor Morris. And he was like, oh, his pal, remember his pal had one of these, like, and then traded it into Victor Morris. I was like, up here, hi. Is that? And he painted a mad thing on the case, or I was talking about the case for it, and he said he'd painted a mad Fender F on it, and it was like, mine's got a mad painted Fender F on it. And he's like, it's done in a sort of pastel paint, and it was like, mine's got an F painted on it in pastel paint. So I kind of dated this guitar back from like 20 years ago when I first heard about it. And then it's like, so I've now got history before that. So this is, which I remember being incredibly heavy, but in these days, because I've got so many basses, it doesn't seem to be that heavy anymore. It's still like a block of lead. Where's my... Go for the weight thing again. Just I'm weighing some of these and not weighing other ones, just out of interest. Weighs in at 4.45 kilograms. So I mean, it is quite heavy. Just out of interest, that's 4.45. This bit of Mustang. Reset, you bastards. I don't know how to work this. Right. 3.8. So yeah, it does weigh a bit more than that bass. Yeah. So as I said, I bought this off my pal G, who ran into difficulties. So this is kind of like my needed to sell stuff, and he sold it to me. And then this is the same guy that I bought the music, because this was like famous between the two of us. That was when we went to see My Chemical Romance. It was like, oh, he's got one of these because. And he bought that one and to sort of replace this one 20 years after he had it, and then I've now got both of them. So this is why I don't have a Bronco bass. Pretty good. It's only got 2 saddles, and actually incredibly rusty looking saddles. It can maybe it's like not just a little bit corroded; they're actual proper rust. But for ages, this was my oldest bass, and it's kind of one of my validators, I guess. You know, it's like I like my Japanese basses and sort of cheapy ones. As I do have some. This might be my only actual Fender. I've got a Fender Teleacoustic, that doesn't really count, does it? This might be my only actual Fender. Although these were a sort of cheaper range. I had someone told me, and I don't know, I've not really done any research on it, but I was told at the time that the Music Master and the Music Master guitar were made by people who just started working at the Fender factory before they got to make the expensive one. So it is an American one, but it's made by somebody who's, you know, you had to do an apprenticeship, which involved, you know, I don't know, 6 months sweeping the floor, and then it moved on to you build the sort of cheaper versions of the guitars, and then you would move on through the thing until once you'd done X amount of these, you would start making, you know, like American P basses and stuff. So interesting. Also, it's kind of it's covered in a sort of Bakelite type stuff, which actually it looks black here, but it looks green. I think it's actually green, sort of strange. And it's got a 178 Strat pickup, which has got 6 poles in it. It's got a smooth cover on it, and it sounds brilliant. I really like this. I don't think I've actually used it in Sabbath band yet. I think it's probably about time I did. Actually, just. It's short scale, 30 inch, same with the Mustang. Very similar to the Mustang. This one is in absolutely amazing condition. The neck has never been played, and I think one of the reasons for that is it played really badly when I first got it, or when my pal G first got it. It just buzzed all over the place and stuff, and I think maybe that was why it's maybe been bought and never used. It's got some dents on it, but these dents are more from it being moved about, as opposed to it being played. You know, there's virtually no fret wear, and there's virtually no wear in the back of the neck. I heard that the reason the headstock goes that sort of dark colour as opposed to the colour of the wood is because the poly finish they put on the backs of the necks reacted badly with the water slide decals, so the headstock has some different type of poly. I don't know, it's nitro or whatever it is, which is why it darkened like that, because if they put the poly finish that they put on the back of the neck on the thing, it melted the letters. Not sure how true that is. So just continuing working through. These are this one's a recent one. I got this off my pal Scott, this has had a headstock split, and someone had screwed it closed, and I hadn't done a really good job of it, so I glued it and then just put the screws back in again. It didn't have a scratch plate. I made this bit here. So this is an Aria 1982, 83 again, Thor sound bass, TSB, and it's very, very, very dented. There's so many dents in the back of the neck you can't actually feel them. You know, if it had been a smooth neck with one or two of these dents, you'd be like, oh, it's got some really annoying dents in it, but there's so many that it's just like a sort of, it's like rough cast or something. It's totally fine. This again, it's 32-inch scale, and it's a very, very similar feeling neck to this, my favourite bass. Well, depending on what mood I'm in, my favourite bass. Single Washburn P bass pickup, which I put in, and I really like this. I've used this a few times with the Sabbath band. I mean, it's not the most interesting to look at bass, but it's a really nice sort of variation of P bass. It's got this sort of forearm chamfer on it, and it's quite small, and just it's got the maple neck on it. And, and I was really surprised with this pickup that I put in. I just put it in because it was the only P bass pickup I had. It's from Washburn B1 bass, something like that. Which actually, thinking about it, had Gotor tuners, which I've still got somewhere, and I think it probably had really good hardware on it, so it might be like a Gotor pickup. I don't know. It's just like it's just black with the Washburn logo on it. Actually, quite similar to what's in that. It's a different logo though, because it's a wee bit earlier. So yeah. So TSB bass. These are really good if you ever see a TSB bass. I've not seen another one exactly the same. Just a very basic instrument. You know, there's not much to it. I don't think these were expensive, but it's really lovely. Right, so 2 more to go in this video of 1. So up another Japanese one. This I painted it. Quite obviously, this was just black. This is a Hondo Professional series, and Hondo. If you look up Hondo online, they're all made in Japan, and very few of them were made in Japan. Basically, there's a few models. This is one of them. You get this. You get one that's a guitar version of this, with these, they say professional on the headstock. And the story with what Hondo did was Hondo used to make really crap guitars in the 70s, and at the sort of very late 70s, sort of 1979, 1980, they contracted Matsumoku and Tokai to make some guitars for them. And then they went round and then to see how they were made, and then they basically stole the ideas of how to make a good guitar, and then went back to Korea, and then after sort of 1982, Hondo guitars are really good. So that's kind of what they did. You see these having saying they've got DiMarzio pickups. I think maybe even my first video of this from years ago says it's got a DiMarzio pickup, but it's more likely it's a Gotor copy of a DiMarzio. This one was just plain black. It had serial number starts 1, so maybe 1981 would certainly count in anyway. This has got like a real one because it's got to say that the Hondo Rising Sun logo. Normally these say Hondo 2 on them. This one doesn't. So it's, I think that might actually date it to 1982 or something. One of the last of the professional series. My justification for buying this was because it had a maple neck, and at the time I didn't have a bass with a maple neck, and I love a maple neck. So this is the same 32-inch scale as some of the other Japanese ones. It's a really strange scale because it's not short scale and it's not long scale. It's kind of in the middle. I really like the 32-inch scale. I've had this in the band, the Black Sabbath band. I went through a stage of taking in, I took a different bass in every week for about 3 months. I've got quite a lot of basses. This was one of the ones I was expecting them to puke at, but they didn't. They seemed quite, they just laughed. Interesting, this one's got a cool neck join. See, I don't know if you can really see there. It's got like an extra bit where the neck, kind of the heel kind of juts out. It's a bolt-on neck, but it's kind of a little bit smoother. I think this is a 3-piece, three-piece Matsumoku type neck. Very nice bass. A little bit on the uninteresting side until somebody decided to paint it like it was meant to be like a tiger, but it kind of looks a bit like a SoundCloud file. It actually looks very similar to the Yamaha I just did a couple of weeks ago. I kind of did a sunburst on that, but it's the same sort of, not really very good at doing tigers. It doesn't really look so much like a tiger. It looks a bit mental, so I'm a bit more interested than it was anyway. Yep, so there we go, and I've got one more, and then that'll be the end of season 1 of the base challenge. I might do the next one. I don't think I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week or something. This is, I made this in my making guitars out of kitchen worktops phase. So this is a Tele Bass 6. It's a Malco as well, with its coffin headstock. This is actually like a real Martin tuners on it. I don't know where I got. I think I got them off my pal Jim. So a bass 6 is tuned like a bass. So you get the same, and then just 2 extra strings. So this hasn't been played in years. A few bits missing off it. I see it doesn't have a volume knob on it. In fact, no, it does turn. A 5-way switch. I had this wired to have. You get 5 sounds out the 5-way. I can't remember what they were. Was it a bridge pickup on its own? Both of them on. Neck pickup on its own. Both of them in series, and then the last one was the neck pickup with a tone pot stuck on it because it doesn't have a tone. So I played this with Jesse Ray. Actually, the first time I played with Jesse Ray, it was playing on this. It's a nice. It's my bass 6. This is why I had another bass 6 that I made out of. You might have seen relatively recently. It was another Malco one. I kind of made it out of a part of every Fender on it. It had like a Showmaster body and a jazz bass neck and P bass pickups and Telecaster pickups and Strat pickups and a bass 6 control plate. It was like all different parts of Fender. Whereas this was like kind of my second attempt. The necks on these necks are fantastic. This is from a Stag bass, which is the one you always see. It's kind of like a really boring, horrible looking 80s type thing, but it's actually got a really good neck on it. And the coffin style headstock, which I reshaped, fits really well, but it's really wide, which really works well for the Fender 6. You can actually get 6 strings on it, and they're not all cramped up together, which they pretty much are on a real Fender 6. It's actually got a really thin nut on it, which is strange. You would think you'd want to put a wider one on it. I can't even see that it's actually 24 frets. So I will need to look this out. The bridge on this one actually even says Fender on it. Don't know where I got that from. I don't imagine it's a real Fender bridge. It's through strung, but it's through strung before I knew that you could put what the ferrules were called. So it's just a piece of metal with the strings going through. And I obviously made an arse of putting the neck plate on. It's held on with 7 bolts. Whatever I was thinking at that point. So this could do with maybe being a bit rounded off. It's very sharp edges. This is just kitchen butcher's block worktop that I jigsawed out and then made a Telecaster bass out of. So I need to get this. And I don't want to play it because it'll, I don't even know if I'm going to get away with boiling these strings. They're all wound. Yeah. I'll maybe give them a bit of a scrape and see if I can make this work for a video next week. I think I'll do that because I quite want to play it again. I've got a funny feeling that there was something wrong with the wiring as well. It wasn't 100% working, so maybe have a wee look at it now. I'm a wee bit more good at doing wiring stuff. So there we go. There's my first basses. How many was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the first 12 done, and all of these pretty much play. Well, I think all of these play. This one, I'm going for this. I've got a few that are sort of bases that are kind of projects that failed or projects I just never got round to finishing properly. So I've got a few that are kind of just bits. Whereas all of these play and work with this, with the exception of this one, I think, which maybe from memory needs a wee bit of wiring sorted out and new strings. Quite a lot of them probably need new strings. So 40 minutes. Rock and roll. If there's any of these that you find interesting and you want to see a video of, have a look for them. If I don't already have, I've kind of named. I think I've given them the names that I gave them is likely what I've given it in the title. Have a look at that, and if not, I will do videos for them. This one especially, I'm actually really liking this. It feels feels amazing actually, even though I'm scared to slide on the strings in case it slices my finger open because the strings are that rusty, but it seems really good. Rock and roll!